Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today we're diving into a small coin with a big story, the 2009 Lincoln penny, also known as the Abraham Lincoln cent. But this isn't just any penny. If you've ever held one of these in your hand, you might have thought it was ordinary, but trust me, there's more than meets the eye. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know why collectors can't get enough of this tiny piece of history, and what makes it potentially worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For the first time, a real person appeared on American coinage, and that alone makes it iconic. Fast forward to 2009, a very special year for the penny. Why? Because it marked the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, and the United States Mint released 4 unique designs to honor different stages of Lincoln's life. That's right, 4 pennies in 1 year, each telling a story about Lincoln's journey from birth to presidency. The first design shows Lincoln's birth and early childhood in Kentucky. It's simple, but it's filled with meaning. You can see young Lincoln's log cabin, representing his humble beginnings and the incredible journey from a frontier child to the leader of the nation. Collectors love this design not only for its historical significance but also because errors and special editions in this series can make certain coins surprisingly rare. Now, why does this coin catch the attention of collectors around the world? The first thing to know is rarity. While millions of pennies were minted in 2009, some were struck with slight errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, and variations in the copper finish. Coins with these errors are highly sought after because they're unique and essentially impossible to reproduce. Imagine owning a coin that no one else has exactly the same. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Some enthusiasts have even found Lincoln pennies with a doubled ear or a tiny die crack near the rim. These minor imperfections might seem small, but for collectors, they can mean the difference between a standard 1-cent coin and a coin worth hundreds of dollars. And it's not just about errors. The condition of the coin matters immensely. A perfectly preserved, uncirculated 2009 Lincoln penny can fetch a much higher value than one that has spent years in loose change. Speaking of value, let's talk money. On today's market, a regular 2009 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is still just 1 cent. But don't be fooled. A coin in mint condition, especially one with rare errors, can sell for anywhere between $10 and over $100, depending on the type of error and its grade. At auction, some of the rarest Lincoln pennies from this series have sold for up to $500. That's a huge return for a coin that most people pass over without a second thought. The excitement doesn't stop there. Collectors are constantly hunting for these coins in change, in rolls from the bank, and even in old coin collections. Every coin has a story, and the 2009 Lincoln penny is one of the rarest modern pennies to carry so much history and intrigue. And here's a tip: if you ever find one that shines a little brighter than the rest, or looks slightly off-center, hold on to it. You might just have a hidden treasure in your pocket. If you're a coin lover or a history enthusiast, this penny is a perfect blend of both worlds. It tells the story of Abraham Lincoln's journey, the artistry of American coinage, and the thrill of collecting something truly unique. You don't need to be an expert to start your collection. Sometimes all it takes is paying attention to the small details. So, whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone who likes discovering hidden gems, the 2009 Lincoln penny is a coin worth keeping an eye on. It's not just money, it's history you can hold in your hand. And remember, in the world of coin collecting, the tiniest details can make the biggest difference. Before we wrap up, here's the important takeaway: the standard 2009 Lincoln penny is worth its face value, 1 cent. But an uncirculated coin in perfect condition can fetch around $10. Coins with rare errors or unique varieties can reach hundreds of dollars, and in exceptional cases at auction, some have even sold for $500. That's a small coin with a big story, and potentially a big price tag. Top 2, we're going to explore a coin that many people overlook, but in the world of collectors, it's a small treasure, the 1961 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may just look like an ordinary copper penny, but trust me, if you pay close attention, this little coin has stories, surprises, and even potential value that goes far beyond its face. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why coin enthusiasts across the world hunt for this specific piece of history. The 1961 Lincoln penny was minted over 60 years ago, during a time when America was growing, changing, and looking forward to the future. Abraham Lincoln's image had already been a fixture on the penny for decades, and by 1961, the design had become an iconic symbol of American currency. The obverse side proudly features Lincoln's profile, engraved with such precision that even tiny details in his hair and coat can be used to determine the coin's condition and authenticity. On the reverse side, the classic Lincoln Memorial design had already been in circulation since 1959, adding a touch of elegance to a coin that millions of Americans carried in their wallets every day. But what makes the 1961 penny so special to collectors? It's a combination of rarity, condition, and the occasional minting errors that appear in some coins. While the vast majority of 1961 pennies are common, unremarkable coins, there are some that stand out due to small anomalies that make them highly sought after. For example, some coins exhibit doubling on Lincoln's cheek or jawline, or doubling on the date and mint mark. These double-die pennies are prized because the error is created during the minting process and cannot be replicated. Imagine holding a coin that is, in a way, one of a kind. That's the thrill collectors chase. Another rare variation collectors look for is the off-center strike. Occasionally, a penny comes out of the press slightly misaligned, causing part of the design to be cut off. While that might seem like a flaw, in the coin collecting world, it can drastically increase the coin's value. A 1961 penny with a noticeable off-center strike or die crack could be worth far more than a standard penny from that year. Condition is also a huge factor. A circulated 1961 Lincoln penny, the kind you might find in a jar of spare change, is still only worth its face value. But an uncirculated 1961 penny in mint condition, with a shiny copper surface and no scratches or discoloration, can fetch a higher price among collectors. And if that coin also happens to have an error or unique variation, its value skyrockets. Let's talk numbers, because that's what everyone wants to know. A typical 1961 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is just 1 cent, of course. But an uncirculated penny in excellent condition can be worth around $10 to $20. If the penny has a rare error, like a double die or off-center strike, collectors might pay anywhere from $50 to over $100. And in auctions, especially for coins with exceptional quality or unusual errors, some 1961 Lincoln pennies have sold for up to $300. That's an incredible return for a coin most people take for granted. Collectors love these coins not only for their potential monetary value but also for the history they carry. Holding a 1961 Lincoln penny connects you to the past, over 60 years of American history, the growth of the United States, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. Each small scratch, each subtle variation in the copper, tells a story that can't be replicated. And here's a tip for those hunting for hidden treasures: if you're ever digging through old rolls of pennies or thrift store collections, keep a sharp eye out for 1961 pennies that look different. A slightly off-color surface, an unusual shine, or a tiny misalignment can be the key to a rare find. Even experienced collectors get excited over small variations in these coins, because they know that the tiniest details can make a huge difference in value. So, if you love coins or history, the 1961 Lincoln penny is a perfect coin to explore. It's small, it's ordinary at first glance, but it has secrets that make it extraordinary. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a casual collector, discovering the rare errors or finding an uncirculated coin can be thrilling. It's like holding a tiny piece of American history in the palm of your hand. To summarize the value for today's market, a standard 1961 Lincoln penny is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated coin can be valued around $10 to $20. Rare errors, like double dies or off-center strikes, can range from $50 to over $100. And in exceptional cases at auctions, some of these coins have reached $300. A small coin, a big story, and in the right hands, a significant treasure. Top 3, we are diving into a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it's a small treasure, the 1965 Lincoln penny. You might think it's just a simple 1-cent coin, something you find in your pocket or a jar of loose change. But if you look closely, this little coin has stories, history, and even hidden value that make it a fascinating find for coin enthusiasts. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why some people hunt for this penny like it's gold. The 1965 Lincoln penny comes from a period in American history that was full of change. It was the mid-1960s, a time of social transformation, economic growth, and cultural evolution. Abraham Lincoln's image had already been on the penny for over half a century, and by 1965, the design was both iconic and instantly recognizable. The obverse features Lincoln's portrait in striking detail, showing the depth and care the engravers put into each coin. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of freedom and perseverance, representing the lasting legacy of the president. But why does this penny matter to collectors? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and those fascinating minting errors that occasionally appear. While millions of 1965 pennies were minted, certain variations and errors make specific coins stand out. Some coins show doubling of the date, doubling on Lincoln's jawline, or even minor misalignments of the design. These double die errors are especially prized because they occur during the minting process and are impossible to replicate. Holding a coin like this is like owning a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Another reason collectors get excited about the 1965 Lincoln penny is the possibility of off-center strikes. Occasionally, the coin comes out of the press slightly misaligned, creating a small gap or overlap in the design. While it may seem like a flaw, these off-center pennies can be very valuable. Even tiny die cracks, small metal chips, or variations in color can elevate a coin's worth dramatically. For collectors, every subtle detail matters. Now let's talk about condition, because it's one of the most important factors in a coin's value. A circulated 1965 Lincoln penny, the type you might find in your drawer, is worth its face value, 1 cent. But a coin that has been preserved carefully in uncirculated condition, smooth edges, shiny copper surface, no scratches, can be much more valuable. And if that coin also has a rare error, it could be worth significantly more. Here's what collectors are seeing in the market today. A standard circulated 1965 Lincoln penny is still 1 cent. An uncirculated example in excellent condition can fetch around $10 to $15. But if the penny has an unusual error, such as a double die or off-center strike, it can sell anywhere from $50 to over $100. And in exceptional cases, at auctions, some rare 1965 Lincoln pennies have been sold for as much as $300. That's an incredible leap from 1 cent to potentially hundreds, all depending on the coin's uniqueness and condition. The thrill of collecting these coins goes beyond just money. Every penny tells a story, a piece of history that connects us to the era it was minted in. When you hold a 1965 Lincoln penny, you are holding a small part of American history in your hand. For coin lovers, that story is as valuable as the monetary price. If you're on the hunt for these coins, here's a tip: pay attention to the subtle details. Slight discoloration, unusual shine, minor die cracks, or off-center designs can turn a seemingly ordinary penny into a rare collectible. Even seasoned collectors get excited over tiny variations because they know how much a small detail can change a coin's value. To summarize, in today's market, a regular 1965 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated penny can fetch $10 to $15. Coins with errors, like double dies or off-center strikes, range from $50 to over $100. And exceptional pennies at auction can sell for as much as $300. This is a small coin with a big story and the potential for a big price. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more hidden treasures in everyday coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Like this video if you found it interesting. It helps us bring more content about coins, history, and collecting directly to you. Top 4, we're going to explore a coin that seems ordinary but hides a story that fascinates collectors, the 1963 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may look like just another 1-cent coin, something you might find in your pocket or in a jar of spare change. But if you pay attention, you'll realize this tiny piece of copper is much more than its face value. By the end of this video, you'll understand why coin collectors across the world value this penny and hunt for it with excitement. The 1963 Lincoln penny comes from a remarkable era in American history. It was the early 1960s, a time of hope, change, and growth in the United States. Abraham Lincoln's image had already graced the penny for over 50 years by then, and his portrait had become a symbol of integrity, freedom, and perseverance. The obverse of the coin shows Lincoln's profile with intricate details, the lines in his hair, the shape of his jaw, and the calm, determined expression that has been recognized for generations. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 and continued to inspire Americans as a symbol of unity and justice. Collectors love the 1963 penny because, while millions were minted, certain coins are rare due to subtle variations or errors during the minting process. One of the most sought-after variations is the double-die penny. This is where part of the design, like the date or Lincoln's features, appears slightly doubled due to an error in the minting process. Imagine holding a coin that is essentially one of a kind. That's what makes it so exciting for collectors. Another rare feature to look for is the off-center strike. Occasionally, the coin comes out of the press slightly misaligned, creating a shift in the design. To a regular person, this might seem like a flaw, but in the coin collecting world, this can make the penny far more valuable. Even small die cracks, tiny scratches, or slight discoloration can add to a coin's rarity. Condition is another crucial factor. A circulated 1963 Lincoln penny, like the ones you might find in loose change, is worth only its face value, 1 cent. But an uncirculated coin, one that has been carefully preserved, with a shiny surface and crisp details, can be worth significantly more. And if that uncirculated coin also has an error, its value increases dramatically. In today's market, a standard 1963 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is still just 1 cent. However, an uncirculated penny in excellent condition can fetch anywhere from $10 to $20. Coins with rare errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual die cracks, can range from $50 to over $100. And in exceptional cases, at auctions, some rare 1963 Lincoln pennies have sold for as much as $250 to $300. That's a huge leap from a 1-cent coin to potentially hundreds, all depending on the coin's condition and rarity. The thrill of collecting the 1963 Lincoln penny isn't just about money. Each coin tells a story. Holding one of these pennies connects you to a time over 50 years ago, a piece of history in the palm of your hand. For collectors, that story, the journey of a coin through decades of use, its imperfections, and its unique traits, is as valuable as the money it might fetch. If you're hunting for these coins, keep an eye out for small differences. A slightly off-center design, subtle doubling of the numbers, or even a tiny die crack can transform a simple penny into a collector's treasure. Experienced collectors know that sometimes, the smallest detail makes the biggest difference in value. To summarize, here's the value for the 1963 Lincoln penny today. A circulated coin is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated coin can be worth $10 to $20. Coins with rare errors like double dies or off-center strikes can fetch $50 to over $100. Exceptional examples at auction have sold for up to $250 to $300. It's a small coin with a big story and potentially big value. Top 5, we're going to uncover the story behind a coin that might seem ordinary but is actually a hidden gem for collectors, the 1969 Lincoln penny. You may have seen this penny 100 times in your pocket, on the counter, or in jars of spare change, but it has secrets that make it incredibly intriguing. If you pay close attention, this small coin can tell a story about history, artistry, and even wealth. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors are fascinated by this penny and what makes it potentially valuable. the 1969 Lincoln penny comes from an era of significant change in the United States. The country was experiencing cultural shifts, technological growth, and social transformation. Amid all this, Abraham Lincoln's profile continued to stand proudly on one of the most widely circulated coins in America. The obverse of the coin shows Lincoln's familiar face, finely engraved to capture every detail of his hair, beard, and expression. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, which had been part of the design since 1959, stands as a symbol of unity and perseverance, a reminder of Lincoln's enduring legacy. Collectors love the 1969 penny not just for its historical context, but because of the rare errors and variations that exist. One of the most famous variations is the 1969 double die obverse. This coin is considered one of the most significant modern errors in U.S. coinage. On this rare piece, Lincoln's profile and the date appear doubled, very noticeably, because of a misalignment during the minting process. Coins like these are extremely rare, and only a few have surfaced in high-grade condition, making them highly prized by collectors around the world. Even outside of the famous double die, other errors make the 1969 penny collectible. Off-center strikes, die cracks, or unusual planchet variations are all examples of what can turn a standard penny into a highly sought-after coin. These imperfections, which might seem like mistakes, actually increase a coin's value because they are unique and cannot be reproduced. Imagine holding a coin that is literally one of a kind. It's no wonder collectors chase these pennies so passionately. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of a 1969 penny. A circulated coin, which has scratches, wear, and has been in use for decades, is worth just its face value, 1 cent. But an uncirculated coin, with a bright copper finish and crisp details, can be far more valuable. And when you combine rarity with an error, the value increases dramatically, making certain coins true treasures. Let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets really interesting. A standard circulated 1969 Lincoln penny is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated penny in excellent condition can fetch around $10 to $15 in today's market. A penny with a minor error might sell for $50 or more, depending on the type and visibility of the error. But the famous 1969 double die obverse penny, especially in high-grade condition, can command extraordinary sums, hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction if authenticated and graded by a professional service. That's a huge leap from a single cent to potentially life-changing value. The fascination with the 1969 Lincoln penny goes beyond money. Every coin tells a story. Holding a 1969 penny is like holding a piece of history, an object that survived decades of circulation, passing through countless hands, yet preserving the memory of an era. For coin lovers, this story, the journey, the errors, and the rarity, is often as thrilling as the value itself. If you're on the hunt for rare 1969 pennies, here's a tip: look closely at the details. Subtle doubling, unusual color, small die cracks, or off-center designs can all indicate a rare variety. Even seasoned collectors get excited about these small differences because they know that the tiniest detail can make a significant impact on a coin's value. So, in today's market, here's what you need to know: a regular 1969 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated coin can range from $10 to $15. Minor error pennies can fetch $50 or more. And the extremely rare 1969 double die obverse in excellent condition can reach hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, making it one of the most coveted modern U.S. coins. Top 6. We're going to explore a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it's a fascinating piece of history: the 1962 Lincoln penny. You may have seen it countless times in your pocket or in jars of loose change, but if you look closely, this small 1-cent coin has stories, surprises, and even hidden value that make it a treasure for collectors. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1962 Lincoln penny is much more than just a penny. The 1962 Lincoln penny was minted during an era of great change in the United States. The country was in the midst of the early 1960s, a period marked by cultural growth, technological advancements, and political evolution. Amid all this, Abraham Lincoln's portrait continued to inspire Americans, appearing on one of the most recognizable coins in the country. The obverse features Lincoln's profile, capturing the intricate lines of his hair, beard, and the distinctive calm determination in his expression. The reverse proudly displays the Lincoln Memorial, which had been part of the design since 1959, symbolizing unity, freedom, and the enduring legacy of the president. Collectors are particularly interested in the 1962 Lincoln penny because of subtle errors and variations that occasionally appear during the minting process. One of the most sought-after variations is the double-die penny. On some 1962 pennies, you may notice slight doubling on the date, the mint mark, or even parts of Lincoln's profile. These double-die coins are extremely valuable because the error cannot be replicated and each coin is essentially unique. Even small variations can make a coin stand out in the eyes of collectors. Another type of collectible variation is the off-center strike. Occasionally, pennies come out of the press slightly misaligned, leaving part of the design shifted or cut off. While it may seem like a mistake to the casual observer, for coin collectors, this is a rare and valuable find. Other factors that can make a 1962 penny rare include die cracks, unusual planchet shapes, or slight differences in the copper finish. Each tiny variation tells a story and adds to the coin's uniqueness. Condition is a critical factor in determining the value of any coin, and the 1962 Lincoln penny is no exception. A circulated penny, which has scratches, wear, and has been in pockets and purses for decades, is still worth just its face value, 1 cent. However, an uncirculated coin, preserved with a bright copper finish and crisp details, can command significantly higher prices among collectors. And when you combine rarity with an error or unusual variation, the value can increase dramatically. So, what is the real market value of a 1962 Lincoln penny today? A standard circulated coin is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated penny in excellent condition can fetch anywhere from $10 to $15. Coins with minor errors, like small double dies or off-center strikes, can range from $50 to over $100. And in rare, exceptional cases, high-grade error pennies from 1962 have been sold at auctions for up to $200. That's an impressive leap from a simple 1-cent coin to potentially hundreds of dollars, all depending on the coin's condition and rarity. The excitement of collecting the 1962 Lincoln penny isn't just about money. Every coin tells a story. Holding a 1962 penny connects you to history, a piece of the early 1960s, surviving decades of circulation, and carrying the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. For coin enthusiasts, that story, combined with the thrill of discovering errors or rare variations, makes each penny an adventure waiting to be uncovered. If you're hunting for rare 1962 pennies, pay close attention to the details. Subtle doubling, slight die cracks, off-center strikes, or unusual shine can transform a seemingly ordinary penny into a collectible gem. Experienced collectors know that the smallest details often make the biggest difference, and spotting these variations is part of the thrill of coin collecting. To summarize, in today's market, a regular circulated 1962 Lincoln penny is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated coin can fetch $10 to $15. Coins with minor errors or unique variations can range from $50 to over $100. And the rarest high-grade examples sold at auctions have reached up to $200. A small coin, a big story, and the potential for a significant collector's value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1962 Lincoln penny and want to discover more hidden treasures in everyday coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Like this video if you found it interesting. It helps us bring more content about coins, history, and collecting straight to you. Top 7 and last rare coin. We are going to dive deep into a coin that might look simple at first glance, but for collectors, it holds stories, history, and sometimes surprising value, the 1966 Lincoln penny. You might have held this penny hundreds of times in your hand without realizing it, but there's more than meets the eye. By the end of this video, you'll understand why coin enthusiasts love this penny and why even ordinary-looking coins can hide extraordinary secrets. The 1966 Lincoln penny was minted during a fascinating period in American history. The country was changing rapidly, embracing new technology, culture, and ideas. Abraham Lincoln's profile had already been a fixture on the penny for decades, symbolizing integrity, freedom, and the enduring spirit of America. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's profile, with finely engraved details in his hair, beard, and expression, a portrait that has become instantly recognizable over generations. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, continuing the design introduced in 1959, representing unity and perseverance. What makes the 1966 penny particularly interesting for collectors is not just its history, but the subtle variations and errors that occasionally appear during the minting process. One of the most famous features for 1966 pennies is the small date and large date varieties. Depending on the die used at the mint, some pennies have a slightly different shape of the numerals in the date. While it might seem minor, these differences are highly sought after because collectors prize completeness and the discovery of rarities. Another reason collectors get excited is the presence of errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. On some 1966 pennies, you might notice slight doubling on the date or even Lincoln's profile. Others might have a tiny misalignment where the design seems shifted or cut off. While these may appear as flaws, in the world of coin collecting, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. Imagine holding a coin that is one of very few in the world to carry this unique characteristic. That's the thrill that draws collectors in. Condition is another crucial factor when it comes to value. A circulated 1966 Lincoln penny, one that has scratches, wear, or signs of handling, is worth just 1 cent. But an uncirculated coin, perfectly preserved with a bright copper finish and sharp details, can be far more valuable. Combine that with a rare error or unique variation, and suddenly a seemingly ordinary penny transforms into a collectible gem. Let's break down the real market value today. A standard 1966 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated example can fetch around $10 to $20. Coins with rare errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual die cracks, typically sell for $50 or more. In exceptional cases, especially for top-graded examples at auction, some 1966 Lincoln pennies have sold for up to $200. That's a remarkable increase from just a single cent to potentially hundreds of dollars, all based on condition and rarity. Collectors are not just motivated by monetary value, they are fascinated by the stories behind these coins. Holding a 1966 penny connects you to a time over 50 years ago, a period of change in America, and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. Each coin tells a story of circulation, survival, and sometimes, error, a journey that makes it uniquely interesting. For those hunting rare 1966 pennies, pay attention to the details. Look closely at the date, the shape of the numbers, Lincoln's features, and the overall design. Subtle doubling, off-center strikes, and unusual wear patterns can transform a common penny into a collectible treasure. Experienced collectors know that even the tiniest differences can greatly affect a coin's value. To summarize the value for today's market, a regular 1966 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. An uncirculated coin can range from $10 to $20. Coins with rare errors like double dies or off-center strikes can range from $50 to over $100. And in rare, high-grade auction cases, a 1966 Lincoln penny can fetch up to $200. A small coin, a big story, and the potential for significant collector value. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden treasures in everyday coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Like this video if you found it interesting. It helps us bring more content about coins, history, and collecting directly to you. Thanks for watching, and next time you pick up a penny, take a closer look. That ordinary-looking coin could be a 1966 Lincoln penny hiding an incredible story, and maybe even surprising value, in your hand.